Later sagas made early Norse voyages look like adventures launched by singular, restless heroes. Earlier records instead show expeditions unfolding beside fractured kingdoms, disputed successions, and aggressive coastal competition. The difference matters because a seaworthy ship alone could not create an overseas campaign. Crews needed supplies, protection, intelligence, and leaders capable of converting risk into political reward. Rivalry provided that machinery while also driving defeated men beyond familiar waters. Yet no surviving source records one universal political cause for Scandinavian expansion. Before the late 8th century, Scandinavian communities already crossed the Baltic and North Sea. Trading settlements such as Ribe connected craftspeople, merchants, farmers, and maritime fleeters before famous raids began. These movements established routes, sailing knowledge, and markets without requiring conquest as their purpose. A chieftain who gathered armed followers needed recurring opportunities to reward them. Land, livestock, imported objects, silver, and captives could all reinforce a leader's standing. Successful voyages therefore returned more than portable wealth to Scandinavian shores. They brought reputations that rivals could challenge, imitate, or attempt to surpass. The raid on Lindisfarne in 793 survives through Northumbrian and later English reporting. Those texts describe devastation and religious meaning, but they do not identify the attacker's home politics. Archaeology likewise cannot assign that expedition to a documented rivalry between named Scandinavian leaders. What survives securely is the consequence, not the raider's private calculation. Political interpretation must therefore begin around the event rather than inside unrecorded minds. Frankish annals offer firmer glimpses when Scandinavian rulers entered continental diplomacy. Godfred, a Danish king, confronted Charlemagne's expanding power during the early 9th century. Their struggle involved border defenses, Slavic allies, merchants, tribute, and control near southern Jutland. Godfred attacked the trading center of Rerik and transferred merchants to Hedeby, according to Frankish annals. That action joined commercial geography to royal competition in a remarkably visible way. Hedeby's position near routes between the Baltic and North Sea strengthened whoever protected and taxed it. The annals remain Frankish court products, written from an imperial, political, and Christian's perspective. Nevertheless, their dated notices anchor people and actions more securely than much later saga narratives. After Godfred's death in 810, succession conflict fractured Danish leadership. Claimants sought Frankish recognition, refuge, military assistance, and leverage against competing branches. Harold Clack repeatedly gained and lost power amid these struggles. His baptism in 826 occurred within imperial patronage, not as an isolated religious awakening. Frankish support offered status and resources, while baptism formalized a politically useful relationship. Opponents could seek different allies, turning nearby courts into extensions of Scandinavian contests. Exile did not necessarily end a claimant's career when ships connected several political arenas. A displaced leader might recruit abroad, negotiate protection, or redirect followers toward profitable violence. No document lets us trace every crew from a succession dispute to a particular raid. Still, the pattern shows why external voyages and internal politics cannot be separated cleanly. Across the Channel, rulers also paid, fought, employed, or settled Scandinavian forces. These responses supplied wealth that successful commanders could distribute among their followers. Inside a mobile warband, acquired silver could become evidence that a leader delivered. Failure threatened more than income because loyalty depended on continued confidence and compensation. Rivals watched that performance, ready to attract followers whose expectations went unmet. Political fragmentation in the British Isles created openings, but Scandinavians did not face passive societies. Local kings raised forces, fortified places, negotiated truces, and sometimes recruited Scandinavian allies. Competition consequently crossed ethnic and geographic boundaries, rather than forming two simple opposing blocs. The Great Army recorded in England from 865 was larger than the earliest hit-and-run forces. Its commanders pursued winter quarters, tribute, conquest, and settlement within changing English rivalries. Later tradition attaches famous dynastic identities to some leaders, but contemporary records are less genealogically certain. The campaign illustrates how maritime groups could become political actors within invaded kingdoms. Once territory mattered, leadership required taxation, negotiation, defense, and relations with local communities. Voyaging had moved beyond coastal extraction into contests over durable authority. Later Icelandic sagas connect overseas settlement with Harald Fairhair's alleged unification and oppressive taxation. Those narratives were written centuries after the 9th century developments they describe. They preserve political memory, but their neat causal story cannot be accepted as contemporary testimony. Archaeology confirms rapid Norse settlement of Iceland during the later 9th century. It does not reveal a single motive shared by every household that crossed. Some migrants may have sought opportunity, while conflict and political pressure influenced others. Land scarcity, inheritance, kinship, trade, and personal security could operate beside elite rivalry. The settlement record, therefore, narrows the claim that one king expelled an entire migration. Norwegian political consolidation was uneven, regional, and less completely documented than saga kingship suggests. Ship burials and wealthy graves demonstrate concentrated resources without naming every buried person's office. They reveal competitive display, specialized craftsmanship, and access to substantial labor. They do show a society where maritime prestige could be staged on an extraordinary scale. The Gokstad ship, built in the late 9th century, combined speed, capacity, and demanding workmanship. Dendrochronology dates its timber, but cannot recover the owner's decisions or voyages. Its construction required woodland access, iron, rope, sail production, food, and coordinated, skilled labor. Command at sea was rooted in authority exercised on land. Eastern routes added another arena where ambitious groups could build fortunes and affiliations. Scandinavians traveled through Baltic and river networks linking many peoples and trading communities. Arabic silver reached the north through exchanges that usually involved multiple intermediaries. Coins found in Scandinavia record circulation, not a direct itinerary for each final owner. Some Scandinavian newcomers became entangled in the political formation later associated with the Rus. The precise roles of different groups remain debated because texts, archaeology, and later traditions diverge. Byzantine and Arabic writers observed selected travelers from outside using their own categories and purposes. Even so, Eastern wealth could enhance the competitive resources available to leaders returning north. Portable silver could be weighed, divided, displayed, buried, or transformed into ornaments. Its political value depended upon distribution rather than accumulation alone. This returns the voyage to its most consequential relationship, the bargain between commander and followers. Followers supplied armed service, seamanship, labor, and acceptance of danger. Leaders supplied food, equipment, opportunity, judgment, and an expected share of success. Neither side possessed a modern contract, and regional customs were not uniform. Loyalty remained personal enough to move when another patron offered better prospects. That mobility made rivalry productive and unstable at the same time. Victorious leaders could enlarge their companies, while repeated failure encouraged defection or exile. Overseas targets became part of a competitive political economy extending beyond any one kingdom. Victims paid the harshest price through loss, captivity, displacement, and damaged religious or economic centers. Their records understandably emphasize destruction rather than the attacker's internal hierarchy. Reading those sources politically does not reduce violence to a neutral leadership strategy. It explains how harm abroad could be converted into authority at home. By the 10th century, expanding Scandinavian kingdoms increasingly tried to regulate maritime force. Kings demanded service, controlled strategic ports, issued coinage, built fortifications, and pursued Christian alliances. Independent raiding did not disappear, but royal power altered its opportunities and risks. The political landscape, after consolidation, differed from the fragmented world surrounding the earliest recorded attacks. Voyages could now serve kings, oppose them, or carry challengers toward alternative bases. Later sagas organized this untidy past around memorable rulers, feuds, and destinies. Their stories preserve how important rivalry remained to medieval understandings of expansion. Yet the earliest evidence supports no single master conflict behind Norse movement. It shows maritime skill becoming political leverage wherever authority was contested. The crucial change was not a sudden Scandinavian discovery that distant shores existed. It was the growing ability of competitors to organize ships, followers, and foreign wealth together. Early Norse voyages widened political rivalry, and political rivalry repeatedly sent those voyages farther.